Hey folks, Kozzi back again, and we're going to be running through the last couple of matches with this sweet Stonescar Aggro draft deck that we built today. Personally, I'm quite looking forward to it. I want to see if we can bring it home and only just lose the original match. I feel as though our plan has been working really well with this build, really well indeed, especially considering we haven't had a couple of the key cards that we'd really want for an aggressive deck to swing. So, yeah, the games have been fun. They've been an arm wrestle, and I look forward to seeing what other games are coming up with this deck. Hopefully our opponent will be found soon. I'm not going to read out the theme text. Perhaps I should have waited to start the video once we'd actually gotten into a match, but c'est la vie. Having been watching through the previous videos, I just want to acknowledge that I'm aware that they're a little bit jittery. That's basically the fact that my Mac is a grandfather of a computer. I think it's a 2010 model or something like that. So it really is doing its best. And hopefully if it all goes well, we'll be able to think about upgrading and improving the mic and going forth with that to try and make sure that we have the best quality products for the screen rather, that we can. So this hand is dicey. If we had slightly different colors, I think I would have kept. Ooh. But I pressed the wrong key. Okay, no worries. We'll see how we go starting off without having precisely what we were hoping for. Well, it makes it easy. If we draw purple, we're in, and if not, we're pretty much boned, but we'll see what happens. It's what I get for being far too laissez-faire whilst just chatting away. Yeah, pretty much getting punished here for that accidental keep. I'm just having an issue with the volume in my headphones right now, so I'm just gonna see what I can do to fix them up. Okay, for whatever reason the sound's a lot louder than it used to be for me, so I'll just do my best to work through it. Kind of unfortunate that I've pressed the wrong button. I guess it's going to happen eventually. Although, fortunately, we haven't been punished too aggressively so far. So now we've actually got to think. We have the opportunity to play 2/2 drops, which I think is what I want to do. He hasn't been too aggressive, which has been good news. I feel as though getting in the Lothario Ranger could be worthwhile, as next turn I could be looking at life drinking his Stranger and making it unblockable to get a 4/4 so I can start to deal with this Guardian. Yeah, that's sounding a lot more like it. So we'll see how badly I get punished for this. If you're a Magic player just coming over to Eternal, welcome. What you'll notice is something that you can't do in Magic at all, where even though I only have one influence from Shadow. Ooh, he's happy to trade? Yeah, I'm happy to trade. So even though I only have one Shadow influence, all you need is the amount according to the faction on the cards. And so you don't need separate instances like you would for lands in Magic, which I feel as though helps the game. He's tapped out. This is a chance for me to get a trade in if I was so inclined. Unfortunately, him having 3 drops makes my Life Drinker a lot less impressive. Yeah, I think what we'll do is, even though it's not the most efficient use of power, we'll get in whilst I know that there's not much he can do to harm me. And we'll just keep developing our board. It could have been an argument made for wanting to keep the Ghost form for the Argenport Ringmaster, but we're not really trading off much at all at the moment. And so it's not even as though him getting in will net me too much card advantage, so for the time being, I think I'll sit tight and wait. Unfortunate that he had the removal. It puts me in a pretty tight spot. I don't want to be too forewarning myself with any kind of block. I don't want to be giving away the life drinker, so I guess we just hope that he continues to get power screwed and that we can actually start to draw some action. Again, happy to take 3. I feel as though there's going to be more valuable alternatives than the Frostkin. Not a fan of him getting the Blind Storyteller though. His card advantage is going to cause a problem for me. This, however, does give me the opportunity to set up a pretty nice sequence of turns. Now if he wants to get in, he's going to have to double attack, and I'll be able to take the Zen Guardian. Or not. Okay. So be it. I'll choose to protect. Even though this is risky if he has removal, I feel as though it's the best of my options that I can have. I definitely don't want to be using the equipment straight away though. I really hope that this desktop audio is just the volume that's going through my mics rather than through anything else at the moment. That does hurt. Fortunately, at least we can get some cards out of it. And I guess we're effectively hoping that he's now run out of removal, because having 2 feeding times is pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive as well. It's unfortunate with this having the endurance that I'm not able to execute it. Wow. So be it, I guess at least we've slowed down the clock some. But yeah, this is proving a lot more difficult than it should. He's definitely had the right things at the right time. So if that's the case, then I take 5 plus 8 is 13, so I'm dead currently unless I find something else. I have a suspicion I'm in deep trouble for this, and to be honest, I kind of deserve it. And that's not going to do it, unfortunately. So yeah, I think I made a couple of mistakes and a couple of other mistakes. Too busy chatting and not quite noticing what the sound level was at. Too busy chatting to not notice where my mulligan should have been, then getting distracted by the sound, which I can't seem to work out an effective way of dealing with. Yeah. We'll see whether this affects it too much. I just need to pull this right down for me, because otherwise it's totally overwhelming. And I'll pull it up. We'll see how that works. These are the first videos, just to get used to all of the technical requirements, get used to talking at the same time. So I feel as though a little bit I'm being an apologist for this, so be it. So for that previous match, I'm not really sure what I could have done to have gotten through the pair of feeding times, as well as the bolt and the permafrost. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of removal when I say it like that, especially considering as he didn't have much card draw. Perhaps I should have thought about trading in sooner. But I feel as though that would have just totally undermined my long-term plan. I definitely would have had a faster clock had I have mulliganed and hit my shadow sooner. But yeah, I feel as though this was just one where he had a very, very nice hand. And I did my best-ish. And basically ran into a mugging. I will be interested though to go through that again and take a look and see what I can learn out of it. I will say I feel as though Feln is criminally underdrafted at the moment. In part with everybody looking to go into the Combre mid-range decks, you basically find the other colours are being severely neglected. And so I've been amazed at how much good Feln removal I've been having passed through to me in other drafts. It really feels as though absolutely nobody is buying and everyone is trying to sell. And so I'll be curious. It could be incorrect, but my theory is that this is related to the RNG article that came out better part of a week ago with the draft guide talking through the different formats and the different archetypes that have been successful for, I believe it was Lightning Ball. And so yeah, I feel as though the meta's shifted. People have all of a sudden gotten on board. This hand going first is okay. I'd be unhappy with it if I was on the draw, especially without a 2-drop, but here I feel as though I'll be able to deal with whatever he draws first and then drop my Magus and start to develop pressure. Not the fastest hand in the world, especially considering what my deck can do, but I really can't complain with 3 power and 4 cards, most of which I can play pretty comfortably. So I'm curious to see what Solo 560's on. At the moment he's either hiding his faction identity or is very badly screwed. The only flash creature I can think of is multicolored, although he could be doing damage to an attacker, which would be bad for me. So I feel as though I'll just bite the bullet and accept the fact that this is just a 3-mana 3/3. I'd really rather wait for him to expend all of his power before using something like Life Drinker. Speaking of which, we got paid off for that decision immediately. He's going to be in trouble unless he can drop a pretty chunky 4-drop. Even then, I'm going to be able to attack in, although I probably won't want to. I'll probably want to defend. Wow. Okay, so he's in real strife. So the question is, if he has removal for attackers, which one would I rather lose? And I think the answer to that will probably come from scheming, so I know what I've got coming next. Whilst these are nice, I don't want to assume I'm drawing into any more power, so I feel as though I'll take whatever it is I can cast. And knowing that I have her coming up guaranteed next, I feel as though I can afford to lose the creature more. But that might not even be a problem for me. So all we're really hoping on is a power. One more power and we're in commanding position. The permafrost is a pain, but it just means that in the future I'll use my next Ravenous Thornbeast that I find on it. And he's just dropped green. I still don't think there's anything I can fear. And now that I have a high level power, I'd rather saturate my power, use as much as I can. So my choice is really between the Recoagulator or the Stonescar. It doesn't seem as though he's got any damage removal whatsoever. It would hurt if he did, because I won't be able to hit anybody with that. So perhaps I am better off playing it safe. The reality is whatever it attacks into is probably going to kill anyway. Now this time he's got combat tricks because there was a very decent pause there, and I think if that's the case I want to save my life drinker. Although if it's do 4 damage to target attacking creature... yeah, I still want to play that out. Yeah, if I'm going up with a flyer and I have this, having the weapon doesn't super matter. He's not even thinking about it. Well, there we go. We've been able to get to our namesake. The pick one, pack one was the Umban Reaper. I wasn't quite sure if I was ever going to actually have a chance to play it. So it's nice to finally get it out there. And even though it's a shame he was able to kill it, it effectively puts us on representing lethal to him. I'm not sure if I want to take it though. I really don't feel like getting 2 for 1 when I'm in such a dominant position. And that's a very, very desperate move. Which I'm perfectly okay with. So now my final decision is how much I want to expose myself to a board wipe. I just feel as though there's no point in overcommitting here. I'm really asking the questions of how do I lose rather than how can I win. And so there's just, it's very much worth playing hyper cautiously right now. And with him on only 2, even if he's able to kill our creatures, we'll still have 2 1/1 Grenadins. And it'll just be a case of attacking too wide for him to deal with. And there we are. Swing in for the win. I'm really quite confused as to what kind of hand he had. He must have been on the 3 color time and just didn't get into his time cards at all, because there's no way that anyone at this level keeps a hand that does nothing effectively until turn 5. Yeah, anyway, time for our final match. It's kind of fun. We are a win and in, or lose and just be down to 6 wins. So there's absolutely no safety net here. Hopefully this time I'll be paying a bit more attention to what I'm doing and manage the idea of talking and playing at the same time a little bit better. As far as a goal hand, all I really wanted the Lothari Rangers as well as a couple of combat tricks. It's just a case of getting a 4/4 on by turn 3. It's very, very hard for other decks to come back from that. The rest of it's really just window dressing. And did we just play Northern Polarity 2 games ago? I really do think that we might have. Well, I got exactly what I asked for, so we'll now see just how well this game performs to its main plan. Yeah, I suspect that this is the same guy who we played previously. If that's the case, he had an impressive amount of removal, which I need to keep in mind. I'm not super interested in using the combat trick there. We can bide our time for a little bit. So we have the choice of trying to attack in and do damage over. If we do, we stunt our development, so I feel as though I'd just rather continue to develop my board. Especially as at the moment it looks like if we draw one more power we can curve the whole way from 1 right up to 5. That's a little bit of a shame. If we trade here, or rather if we don't block here, he's going to be killing my Granadin. Which is fine by me, because on the next turn I can play the fighter, attack, and he's forced to either block with the blind storyteller, or let me get a 4/4. Yeah, okay, we'll go for no blocks. Slightly riskier line than a straight trade, but I feel comfortable with it. So he's chosen to continue developing his board. I feel as though I should just do the same. It's a shame he had that 2-drop. Very much a shame. Does exhausting anybody afford me an attack? Not really. Does attacking and rampaging to make my guy a 5/3 afford me anything? Nah, that's not useful either. Okay. We'll just continue trying to develop the board. That Annihilate definitely hurt. Same deal, I guess. So my Umbrum Reaper is just going to get snowballed, which is not something I want to expose it to. If I attack with my Ranger and they double block, I'm just going to be 1-for-2ing myself, which is horrific. So I guess we just got to sit back and wait. It's only 2 damage a turn, which I can afford to lump for a while. On the bright side, it means next turn I can play my Umbrum Reaper and protect it from the snowball, which isn't an amazing use of my resources, but at least it keeps me with the creature I want. I'm really not a fan of letting him draw so many cards, but I feel as though I'm between a rock and a hard place right now. The alternative is I can block here, use the combat trick, but I feel as though whilst the clock's so slow, that's not the biggest priority for me. I'd be happy not to flood for much longer, but it is what it is. So we'll keep our guy alive. At least this way we have a flyer, should he not have any more removal. Happiness is. I'm pretty sure this is the guy we played 2 matches ago. The amount of removal he has is astronomical. So that'll give me 6 power, which is enough for me to guarantee that he won't die should he get blocked. So I'm happy to run in here and do an exchange. I'm not going to be blocking with her anyway. At least this way, I'm not going to get blown out like I was with the other combat trick. If this is the same guy, I'm terrified of what else he's got. I feel as though it's been premium removal after premium removal. I'm definitely getting to the point where the chipping is becoming a problem, but when you're flooding like this, there's not much you can do. So I can afford to take 5 a turn for 2 more. If I don't block and I go to 8, I'm on a 3-turn clock. If I do block and I go to 10, I'm on a 4-turn clock. So the exchange, which then opens up his Scaly Goran to attack, is only saving me 1 turn. I feel as though I need to let it go through. And not see that from my opponent. No worries. It's an unfortunate end to have such an anticlimax. I feel as though I never really had an opportunity to get into the game there. Him having the amazingly high quality removal took away most of those opportunities. As a whole though, I feel as though we performed relatively well for this deck. The alternatives were we could have looked into picking blue. We did see through packs 3 and 4 that blue was achingly open. And if so, we would have been a much more of a controlling deck with more stun based removal rather than hard removal. We would have had not really any card draw but card selection. And I feel as though, to be honest, that if I was to look back, several of the red cards are actually MVPs here. They don't look like the strongest cards in the deck. You know, they're not the ones up here that are the rares that are really impressive. But Rampage held its own. I wish I could have had 2 or 3 more of those. I really feel as though that was a premium card in this build when we had as many Lethari ranges as we did. And this even being said, I don't think this is an optimum build. If I could have had a couple more tokens to make the Thorn Beast a little bit more reliable, I would have been happy to have a different 1-drop in the place of the Spider, and even a couple of flyers. I feel as though this deck still has a lot of room for improvement. But on the whole, I feel as though it's been a good representation of how Stonescar Aggro both works and also how it falls apart. You basically saw it there. The minute you could get a 2-3 blocker and I didn't have that extra damage, this deck was effectively inept. But that's the nature of the archetype. So thank you for watching the video series. I hope that this has been illuminating for how Stonescar Aggro, both how you can get into it and how it plays out. And yeah, join me next time, as whatever I get from these packs will hopefully get me over the 5,000 gold for the next draft deck. Have a good one.